Title: The Millionaire Farmer Gets a Shock When a Homeless Girl Reveals His Wife's Secret. Chapter 1: The Mysterious Beginning. From the very first moment, an eerie silence hung over the old farmhouse, broken only by the faint rustle of leaves, stirred by an unseen breeze. Strange shadows flickered across the cracked walls, as if the house itself held secrets desperate to be uncovered. Every creak of the floorboards echoed like a whispered warning, while outside, the distant howl of a lone wolf sent chills down the spine. Something was undeniably wrong. A hidden truth lurking just beneath the surface, waiting to unravel. The air grew thick with anticipation as unexplained lights danced in the darkness, and the townsfolk's hushed rumors spoke of an ancient curse that no one dared to challenge. Each strange occurrence piled upon the last, weaving a tangled web of mystery that pulled the reader deeper into the story, craving to know what sinister forces were at play. Hey, before we continue with this incredible story, I need to give you an important alert. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube removed their subscriptions without warning. Just take a quick look at the red button down below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I don't want you to miss any exclusive content coming your way. And since you're here, drop that powerful like that helps me so much with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, what city are you watching from? I love meeting every amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's interact. If you like stories about farmers, about everyday life on the farm, and want to know what really happens in the daily lives of the biggest farmers in the world, the hidden stories of the richest owners, and the secrets of the farm girls that the media doesn't reveal, check out our virtual book with the most famous and secret stories from the farm. Click on the first link in the video comments and get yours now. Chapter 2: The Revelation. Just as the whispers of the supernatural thickened in the air, a sudden crash shattered the stillness. Glass shattered, and a door swung open with a violent force, as if pushed by the same unseen force that haunted the house. Everyone jumped. The townsfolk gathered outside, exchanged glances full of fear and confusion. Something had broken free. Inside, Ethan, the millionaire farmer, stood frozen, heart racing, chest tightening. He hadn't even noticed the girl waiting in the corner of the dim room. The ragged clothing hung off the girl like a dark cloud, her wide eyes glistening with a mix of terror and resolve. She stepped forward hesitantly. "I know," she whispered, voice barely aflutter against the chaos. "What do you mean?" Ethan felt a cold sweat trickle down his back. He tried to ignore the trembling in his hands. Her gaze intensified, cutting through the eerie atmosphere. "I know about your wife, Sarah." That name sliced through him like a knife. His mind raced. What truth could this girl possibly hold? "Stop playing games," he snapped, fear boiling into anger. "What do you know?" But the girl stood her ground. "She's not who you think she is." Her words were small, but they carried the weight of an avalanche. The house seemed to inhale sharply. The shadows shifted, swallowing Ethan's thoughts. Images of Sarah flashed through his mind, her laughter, the warmth in her smile. But doubt flickered at the edges. "What are you saying?" His voice trembled. A distant howl echoed through the stillness, and she took a deep breath. They didn't just abandon me. They were running from her. She's part of something dark. Panic surged through him. He looked at the girl's dirt-streaked face, and something clicked. Are you saying she's dangerous? The words felt heavy in his mouth, each syllable a struggle to accept. I can show you, the girl insisted, desperation pooling in her eyes. Just then, a loud bang sounded from the kitchen, like the gunshot of a starting gun. Desperation clawed at Ethan's insides. He was torn between the life he thought he knew and this girl who held the promise of revelation. Before he could respond, the girl darted toward the kitchen, her feet barely touching the ground. The urgency in her movement captured Ethan. He raced after her, compelled by the beating of his heart, pounding louder with each step. The kitchen stretched out before them like a scene from a nightmare. The old clock on the wall ticked loudly, each second echoing like a countdown. And then he saw it. A book lay on the table, opened to a page filled with strange symbols. Sarah stood over it, her eyes wide and haunted, as if she was trapped in a dream. She looked up at Ethan, fear etched deep into her features. You shouldn't be here. His world tilted. The girl pointed at the symbols, trembling. It's a ritual, Ethan. She's been drawing power from the land. Ethan's heart hitched in his chest. He felt the air grow heavy, the shadows creeping closer. Everything he thought he knew about Sarah crumbled. You were lying to me, he accused, agony twisting his gut. No, Sarah screamed, anguish spilling from her lips. I was trying to protect you. A crackle of energy filled the room, palpable and raw. The walls pulsed as if the house was alive, every shadow a watcher. Ethan's throat tightened, and he grasped for answers, heart racing wildly. The girl, breathless, faced Ethan. You have to choose. Now! You can't stay blind. The tension swelled. The world spun. Betrayal cut deep, raw, and jagged. Ethan's mind raced with uncertainty. Friends? Lovers? Who was Sarah really? Suddenly, the lights flickered violently, plunging them into a stifling darkness. Heart pounding, Ethan's stomach dropped. The whisper of a secret lingered in the air, clawing at his insides. Ethan! Sarah's voice was a lifeline, trembling yet steady. The question sat heavy, thick with urgency. What had he truly married into? With adrenaline pumping, the flickering shadows loomed larger, the rooms spinning into chaos. All hope hung on the edge, waiting for the answer that would change everything. Chapter 3. The dark truth unravels. The shadows warped around them as fear thickened the air, coiling like smoke. Ethan's heart raced, fighting against the panic clawing at him. Sarah, tell me the truth. His voice cracked, raw with desperation. But before she could answer, the girl spoke again, her voice trembling. You have to listen. The curse isn't just on the house. It's on her. The urgency hung between them, like a storm cloud ready to burst. The flickering lights cast unsettling shapes, and Sarah's eyes darted toward the kitchen window. Ethan followed her gaze, but the room felt like it was closing in. The walls shuddered, as if the house held its breath. Ethan, it's getting worse! Sarah's voice shook. The fear spilling from her lips made his gut twist. You don't understand what I have to do to keep it all at bay. Keep what at bay? He took a step closer, trying to reach her through the darkness. But in that split second, the world exploded into chaos. A deafening crash echoed as the front door burst open, shaking the frame. The wind howled, screaming through the house. Dust filled the room, making it hard to breathe. The girl stumbled, lost her footing, and fell to the floor with a thud that echoed like thunder. "Get down!" Ethan shouted instinctively. He rushed forward, adrenaline firing through his veins. But then he froze when he saw it. A figure standing in the doorway, cloaked in darkness. A man, his face obscured, stepped into the light. "Ethan, no!" Sarah screamed, but he couldn't look away. The man raised his arm, revealing a weathered dagger, glinting ominously in the dim light. "You don't know what she's doing!" The voice was rough, filled with anger. "She can't be allowed to continue." Ethan's pulse quickened. "Who are you? What do you want?" The man's eyes bore into Ethan's, wild and desperate. "Your wife is part of something ancient. She's nothing but a vessel." "A vessel?" The word hit Ethan like a punch to the... Confusion washed over him, mixing with rage and disbelief. "No! You're lying!" "No, I'm not." The man stepped closer, and Ethan felt a chill run down his spine. She betrayed them, and now they want her back. For every sacrifice she's made, there's a price. The truth hit like cold water. What sacrifices? Ethan's mind spun as he searched for logic in the madness. Sacrifices that threaten everyone you love. With a flick of his wrist, the man tossed a heavy object at the floor, shattering it into pieces. An ancient symbol glowed within the dust, pulsing like a heartbeat. Ethan's eyes widened. "What have you done?" The girl scrambled to her feet, pointing at the glowing debris. "The ritual. It isn't just a part of her. It's her. She can't control it anymore." Sarah turned back to Ethan, fear and pain etched on her face. "I had to, Ethan. I had no choice." Just then, a fierce wind raged through the kitchen, sweeping Ethan off his feet, pinning him against the wall. He gasped, feeling the air squeezed from his lungs. "Sarah!" In that terrifying moment, the shadows twisted, revealing faces, cold, ancient, filled with rage. They were pouring from the walls, hungry and searching. "She belongs to us!" they cried, their voices a cacophony that filled the room. Ethan's heart raced, pounding in his chest like thunder. Sweat dripped down his brow. "No, you can't take her." The realization dawned like a horrifying flash. And then, in a final gasp of breath, Sarah's form began to shimmer, flickering between her true self and a dark silhouette. "Ethan, help me." His heart dropped. Who was she really? What had he married into? The roaring shadows closed in, consuming the room in darkness. The weight of betrayal hung heavy, and with a final scream, the air thickened, everything shifted. And just like that, silence fell. Only the echo of his racing heart remained, a strange echo against the suffocating gloom. Ethan stood frozen, staring into the deep black void where the girl had vanished, where Sarah once stood. What just happened? The question lingered like a haunting whisper, shaking his core. The echoes of something darker lingered, waiting to reveal what he truly faced. Chapter 4: Shattered Illusions. Silence lingered in the air, suffocating and heavy. Ethan's heart thundered against his ribcage, every beat echoing a frenzied mix of fear and disbelief. He blinked, trying to make sense of the shadows, the silence, the emptiness where Sarah once stood. "Sarah," he called, voice cracking, reaching into the void. But the name hung there, unanswered, swallowed by the darkness. The kitchen felt like a tomb. Panic clawed at his throat, choking him. He stumbled back, eyes darting around. The once familiar home now felt unfamiliar, hostile. "What happened?" he shouted, desperation spilling from him. That's when he noticed it, the strange symbol glowing faintly in the debris. Light flickered, illuminating the jagged edges. It pulsed like a heartbeat, and a chilling dread washed over him. The very ground trembled beneath his feet. Suddenly, he heard a soft whimper. He turned sharply, finding the girl, crumpled on the floor, her eyes wide with fear. "She can't control it anymore," she whispered, trembling. "She's in danger. We all are." Ethan knelt beside her, urgency flooding through him. "What do you mean? Please tell me." "The others." Her voice shook. "They're coming. They won't stop until they've taken her back. She's connected, tied to something. More than you know." The shadows crept closer, alive, and Ethan felt the cold grip of dread wrap around him. Who are they?" Before she could respond, another crash sounded. The front door flew open again, but this time it wasn't just wind. Figures roared into the room, cloaked in darkness, moving like smoke. Ethan's heart raced as they shifted through the air, their faces hidden, menacing. "Ethan!" one of them shouted, voice piercing the chaos. Ethan's eyes widened. It was a familiar voice, his best friend, Jordan. "Jordan?" Ethan exclaimed, disbelief tinged with relief. "What are you doing here?" But as Jordan stepped closer, Ethan saw the glint of malice in his eyes. "We have to end this. She doesn't belong here anymore." Shock washed over Ethan, hot and bitter. You think I'll let you take her?" Jordan sneered, stepping forward, the darkness swirling around him. "She's part of something big, Ethan. Something we can't let you interfere with." Ethan's chest tightened, betrayal stinging. You knew what she was? How could you?" "I had no choice," Jordan shouted back, anguish twisting his features. The shadows roared around them, feeding off the rising tension. "You think you know her? You think you're safe? You're just a pawn in her game." Ethan felt the floor beneath him quake with truth. "What game? What have I done?" Before he could grasp the enormity of Jordan's words, the darkness thrashed violently. A piercing scream whipped from the depths, echoing through the chaos. It was Sarah's voice, layered with pain and sorrow. "Ethan, help!" The air shimmered, flickering with chaotic energy. Shadows formed around Sarah, pulling her back, dragging her into the abyss. "No!" Ethan screamed, instincts pushing him forward. But as he reached out, everything crumbled. The shadows swallowed him whole, engulfing him in darkness. As Ethan felt the chill wrap around him, the last thing he saw was Jordan's face twisting into a cruel smile. And just like that, Ethan was torn from reality, thrust into a swirling tempest of confusion, pain, and betrayal. Where was Sarah? What was real? Everything he thought he knew shattered like glass, leaving only questions clawing at his mind. Who are you really, Sarah? The darkness kept swirling, The answers were out there, just beyond the horizon of the chaos, and he was desperate to uncover them before it was too late. Chapter 5: The Crumbling Mask. The darkness swallowed Ethan whole, pulling him into a weightless void. Shadows slithered around him, drowning out thoughts and worries. "Sarah!" he called again, voice cracking with desperation, but the name echoed back, twisted and mocking. Suddenly, he felt a jolt. The emptiness flickered, and he was thrown back into the room. The shadows dissipated, leaving him gasping on the cold kitchen floor. Panic surged through him, his chest tightening as he looked around. Jordan and the cloaked figures were gone. The remnants of the broken symbol glowed dimly, still pulsing like a heartbeat. And then he heard her. "Ethan!" Sarah's voice cut through the fog, a whisper on the wind, haunting and full of pain. He pushed himself up, heart racing. "Sarah, where are you?" A faint figure materialized in the corner of the kitchen. "Ethan!" It was her, but there was something off, something unsettling in her eyes. They flickered, dark and deep, as if a storm raged beneath the surface. "Sarah?" He stepped closer, confusion twisting in his gut. "What happened?" "I fought." She raised her hand, a gesture too slow, too deliberate, as if she were caught in a trance. "I was lost," she breathed, her voice a mix of relief and something darker. "I'm so glad you're here." "Glad? Sarah, you scared me. I thought they took you." He tried to reach for her, but she recoiled slightly, eyes darting behind him. "Ethan, listen to me." Her voice poured out, urgent yet distant. "I was exposed to things I never understood. I never meant to." Then a chilling laugh echoed through the air, slicing through the moment. It wasn't Jordan's, nor from any of the shadows. It was here, in the room, swirling like smoke. Ethan turned sharply, his heart pounding. From the edge of the shadows, a new figure stepped forward. He was tall, cloaked in tattered gray, face shrouded. Ah, so the little puppet returns to the stage. His voice dripped with venomous delight. "Who are you?" Ethan demanded, stepping protectively in front of Sarah. "Just an admirer of the craft," the figure sneered, a cruel grin widening into the darkness. He locked eyes with Sarah. "Ah, but you're more than just an admirer, aren't you? The vessel that holds such power, the lineage flows through you, doesn't it?" "What do you mean?" Ethan felt the words claw at his throat as the room spun. "What lineage?" "Lovely wife," the figure cooed, "isn't what you think. She's part of a legacy, a chosen one bound by blood and ancient pacts." Ethan's breath caught, confusion turning into sheer terror. He turned to Sarah, searching her face for answers. "Is this true?" The silence roared around them. Sarah's eyes widened, as if the truth crashed over her like waves. "Ethan." Suddenly, the kitchen grew dark. The world tilted. The figure laughed, louder now, resonating off the walls like thunder. "You've all been so blind. The sacrifices are only beginning. Their hunger grows. They demand a price." "What price?" Ethan pressed, voice trembling. "Your love will cost you dearly," he spat, and in that instant, the figure lunged forward, a force of darkness enveloping them. Sarah's eyes shimmered, losing their warmth, turning cold, deep. "Ethan, I never wanted this." The words wrenched something inside him. The shadow consumed her, and she began to change, shifting before his eyes. "No!" he yelled, reaching out, but it slipped through his grasp like smoke. Then everything shattered. The room cracked like breaking glass, and Ethan's heart plummeted. As the darkness pulled away, he stood alone in the ruins of his home, the air thick with despair. A mirror lay shattered at his feet, and in the shards he saw a reflection of Sarah. A different woman, another fate. He staggered back, breathless. What happened? Questions clawed at him. Was she a prisoner of fate? Had she always been part of something far more sinister? How could I have been so blind? The echoes of laughter faded, replaced by the emptiness of what was lost. And in that silence, a new question emerged. What fate awaited them both? Chapter 6. The Crucible of Truth. Ethan stumbled back, breath catching in his throat. The reflection of Sarah in the shattered glass glared back at him, haunting, twisted. It felt like his heart was being squeezed in a vice. "What happened?" he gasped, stepping through the ruins, desperate to shatter the silence. The air was thick with unease. Every breath felt like a struggle. He could feel the weight of her absence pressing down on him like a shroud, stifling his thoughts. Before he could process what was happening, a sudden flicker of light burst from the remnants of the symbol. The glow pulsed, and the air crackled with electricity. "No!" he shouted instinctively, but it was too late. In a blinding flash, the room transformed. The walls seemed to melt away, and the floor dropped from beneath him. Ethan fell, plunging through a void that felt endless. His stomach knotted, fear and confusion mingling into a whirlwind. And then, just as quickly, he landed on hard ground. He blinked, dazed, taking in his surroundings. Everything felt different. Shadows danced at the edges of his vision, whispering secrets he couldn't grasp. "Ethan, help!" Sarah's voice echoed, but this time it felt distant, as if she were calling from another world. Chills raced down his spine. "Sarah!" he screamed, voice cracking. This place was dark, dimly lit, and a heavy fog crept along the ground. It smelled of decay, of something lost. Panic gnawed at his insides. Where was she? Suddenly, a figure emerged from the shadows, stepping into view. It was Sarah, but again, she wasn't quite the woman he remembered. Her eyes glowed with an intensity that felt foreign. "Ethan," she said, voice low and alluring, "you shouldn't have followed me." His heart raced. "What do you mean? I'm trying to save you." Confusion twisted in his gut. A smile tugged at her lips, but it sent a shiver down his spine. "You don't understand. I'm not the one who needs saving." "What?" Anguish tore through him. "What do you mean?" Before she could answer, the air thickened, heavy with a palpable energy. Suddenly, the cloaked figure from before erupted from the shadows, eyes blazing. "She can't help you, Ethan. She's already chosen. What do you want?" Ethan felt heat flood his veins, anger boiling beneath the surface. "Her fate is sealed," the figure declared, voice cold like steel. "She was never just your wife. She was born to reign, to lead the darkness we've protected for centuries." Ethan's world spun, grasping for some semblance of reality. "No, you're lying! She's just Sarah!" The desperation echoed in his voice, but the shadows whispered otherwise. Sarah's gaze flickered between desire and something darker. "Ethan, I tried to shield you from this, from what I truly am. But it's too late. I can't escape my destiny. Every word felt like daggers tearing at his heart. What are you saying? What destiny? She stepped forward, her hand reaching out, trembling. I'm part of a bloodline that connects back to ancient forces. I must embrace it, or risk the lives of everyone we love. No! He yelled, stepping back as if burned. You can't do this! You can't be a monster! The figure chuckled, a haunting sound that filled the space around them. She isn't a monster, Ethan. She is the darkness you feared. Embrace it, or face annihilation. Betrayal sliced through him. The truth crashed like waves against his soul. You've been lying to me? I couldn't tell you, Sarah cried, tears brimming. I thought I could protect you, but it's all unraveling. In that moment, a deafening crash broke the tension. A ripple of shockwaves shuddered through the air. The ground beneath them began to quake. From the depths of the darkness, figures began to manifest. Whispers, rising like steam. The shadows formed into faces, wretched, hollow, filled with longing. Your choice, Sarah. Your choice will decide everything. Ethan's breath hitched, a cold realization dawning on him. What choice? The question felt heavy in the air, pressing down like an anvil. And then, with an unsettling clarity, a revelation hit him. Sarah was bound to something more than he could ever understand. The shadows shifted, and he could feel their hunger, their desire for what she could give. Ethan, her voice wavered, fear and resolve battling in her eyes. They want me to sacrifice everything, even you. His heart dropped, the world spinning around him. Sarah, no! But the shadows wrapped around her, pulling her back, sealing her fate. The room plunged into chaos, and as Ethan reached out, the darkness exploded, engulfing them all. And just like that, everything changed. The questions lingered in the air, heavy and unresolved. What would becoming part of darkness mean for Sarah? For him, what fate awaited them both? Chapter 7, Embers of Truth. The darkness roared, swallowing them whole. Ethan felt the pressure close in, the weight of fear collapsing around him. He reached for Sarah, but the shadows consumed her, pulling her away. No, he cried, lunging forward. But it felt like running through molasses. Too slow, too trapped. Panicked screams echoed in the void, swirling with malevolent laughter. You thought you could save her? The cloaked figure taunted, looming larger, its form blending into the darkness. Ethan felt rage bubbling inside him, a fire igniting against the cold. Stop! He spat the word like acid, pushing against the darkness, his heart pounding like a drum. You can't take her. With every ounce of will, he thrust out his hand, feeling the pulsation of the remnants of the glowing symbol. Light flickered within the shadows, casting strange shapes on the ground. And then, in a moment of clarity, a burst of brightness exploded from the center. Ethan shielded his eyes, a blinding light illuminating everything. His heart raced. When he opened his eyes, everything changed. The room shimmered, revealing a grand hall filled with ancient symbols etched into the stone. Flickering torches cast long shadows across cold, weathered walls. Ethan blinked, bewildered as shadows crawled away, retreating from the light. Ethan! Sarah's voice pierced through the dimness, but it was different. It sounded closer, almost freeing. He squinted into the brilliance and saw her, standing at the far end of the hall, but her presence felt distorted, as though something was off. Sarah! He ran toward her, heart hammering in his chest. But as he reached her, his breath caught in his throat. She looked different. Her eyes shimmered with a dark light, swirling like storm clouds. Ethan, it's too late. Her voice, once warm, now held an edge, both urgent and desperate. What do you mean? He asked, confusion flooding his veins. You're here! We can get out! You can fight this! No, she whispered, a tremor running through her. I can't. Not anymore. The shadows reformed behind her, swirling, clawing to reclaim her. And then, unexpectedly, she reached out to him, her hand trembling. Ethan, listen, you have to understand. But before she could finish, the cloaked figure surged forward. Seizing her wrist, an electric crackle filled the air, and in an instant, a thunderous roar enveloped the hall. Enough of this charade, the figure bellowed. The darkness pulsed, and the room trembled. The time has come. Ethan's heart raced. What time? What are you talking about? With a jerking motion, the figure ripped a glowing pendant from around Sarah's neck. It glimmered with a dark brilliance, reflecting a stormy sky. Time froze. No! Ethan roared, lunging forward. But something held him back. Sarah's face twisted in pain, her eyes locking onto Ethan. You have to know, it was never just about me. Her voice broke as the shadows seemed to wrap tighter around her. What do you mean? The words fell from his lips, desperate and pleading, as he felt the ground beneath him shift unexpectedly. It's a choice, a binding. The shadows churned with newfound energy. If I fall into the dark, it will claim you too, Ethan. What? The words slipped out, choking him. The cloaked figure grinned, teeth glimmering. Welcome to the moment of truth. Sarah was always meant to channel the darkness, but you've become entwined in her fate, whether you like it or not. Suddenly, the pendant burst into shards of light, and Ethan heard a terrible, grinding sound from deeper in the hall. The ground shook violently, and ancient stones began to shift and break apart, revealing a passage swirling with darkness below. What the hell is going on? Ethan shouted, trying to look at Sarah. As he watched, her form flickered between light and darkness, struggling. You have to either join me or let me go. Ethan staggered back, the reality of her words crashing over him. The choice hung in the air like a noose. What could he do? Sarah, he cried, fighting against the pulling shadows. They stretched toward him as the passage gaped wider beneath them. I won't let you go. But then, when everything seemed to teeter on the edge of calamity, a new figure emerged from the shadows, flickering between existence and nothingness. It looked like a woman, but older, stronger, her aura radiant. Stop, she commanded, voice resonating through the air like a powerful wave. Ethan squinted, recognition pulling at the edges of his mind. Mom? The instant recognition slammed into him like a tidal wave. The woman smiled sadly, but it felt layered with power. It's time for you to choose, Ethan. There's more at stake than love here. Tension hung thick in the air. Ethan's heart raced. He felt pulled between worlds, caught in the storm of shadows and light. What do you mean? But before she could answer, everything shifted, as if the very fabric of reality, twisted like a page torn from a book. The ground trembled violently, sending both Sarah and the cloaked figure tumbling backward into the swirling abyss. "Ethan!" Both voices cried out in unison, but as they fell, a horrific realization hit. Every choice he made would seal their fates. Would he embrace the darkness and lose Sarah forever, or deny it and risk everything? And as the shadows closed in, he knew then that nothing was ever as it seemed. The question loomed large in his mind, pressing down like a weight. Who was his true enemy, and what was he willing to sacrifice to save the one he loved? Chapter 8. A Flicker of Truth. The shadows swirled, tightening around Ethan. He felt a pulse of energy crackling in the air, as if the walls themselves were alive. Time slowed, each heartbeat thundering in his ears. "Sarah!" he yelled, stretching out his hand, desperate to pull her back from the brink. But the darkness gripped her tighter, threatening to swallow her whole. "Ethan, you can't!" Sarah's voice cut through the chaos, laced with pain. "If I stay, they will come for you too. You have to make a choice." "What choice? I will leave you." His chest tightened, fear wrapping around his heart like a vice. He could feel everything he held dear slipping away. Suddenly, the cloaked figure laughed, its eyes gleaming with malice. The sweet taste of desperation. "But you must understand, this choice isn't yours to make." Ethan's heart sank. "What does that mean?" But the figure merely grinned, and before he could react, everything exploded in a blinding light. The air split open, revealing a swirling vortex of energy that tore through the ground beneath him. Ethan stumbled back, fists clenched. "I won't let this happen." And then everything stopped. Silence fell like a heavy blanket. The room dimmed, shadows fading into nothing. He blinked, confused, watching as the dark figure evaporated into the air, leaving Sarah standing alone, pale and shaken. "Ethan," she whispered, her voice fragile like glass. But something in her demeanor shifted, an unsteady light flickering behind her eyes. "Are you okay?" He stepped closer, hesitantly reaching out. "I don't know," she said, tremors shaking her body. Then her expression hardened. "Listen, I've been hiding something from you. Something I never wanted you to know." "What?" His pulse quickened, a sense of foreboding crawling up his spine. "What do you mean?" Before she could answer, a deafening roar shattered the silence. The ground trembled again as a massive figure emerged from the darkness, a towering presence cloaked in shadows. It stretched out its hand, revealing a crystal that shimmered ominously. "Behold the truth!" it bellowed, and Ethan felt the air shift. The shadows within the crystal pulsed, revealing images, fragments of memories that twisted and turned, stretching back to dark secrets. He watched in horror as faces flashed, friends, family, and the unmistakable look of betrayal. "Stop!" he shouted, but he was frozen, bound by the dreadful realization unfolding before him. Then he heard a whisper, but it wasn't Sarah's voice. It was softer, familiar, his mother's voice, long lost to him. "Ethan, you are more than you realize. The blood runs deep." His heart raced as fragments of memory began to fall into place. Blood? What blood? But the shadows only danced, intensifying the horror within him. "It's true!" Sarah's voice broke through again, panic lacing her words. You're tied to this darkness. It's in your blood, too. No, that can't be. I'm not like you. Her gaze pierced through him, raw and filled with fear. You don't know. Your lineage carries the weight of our fate. We're all bound to this together. Suddenly, the darkness swirled, sucking the air from the room, and the walls began to tremble again. Sarah clutched his arm, eyes wide. We can either embrace it or fight against it. Everything felt like it was collapsing. Fight? You mean you have a choice? Then it hit him, a blinding realization, gut-wrenching and devastating. If she could choose, could he break free of whatever cursed connection pulled him into this chaos? But the truth of his own lineage twisted inside him, tearing at his heart. Was he truly part of a legacy he never wanted? What would that make him? And then everything went dark. He felt the ground beneath him give way, her scream echoing in his ears as he plummeted into an abyss. In that plunge, a question hung heavily in the air. What had he truly uncovered about himself? And would his love for Sarah be enough to save them both, or destroy everything? Chapter 9. The Shattering of Reality. Ethan fell. The darkness enveloped him, cold and suffocating. It felt like he was being pulled through the very fabric of reality, a bottomless pit where fear turned to despair. All he could hear was Sarah's voice echoing, distant and echoed in a haunting plea. Ethan, don't let go! His chest tightened. No, he had to fight. He'd fight for her, then both. Then, with a crash, the ground surged up and he landed hard on something solid. Gasping, he looked around. He was back in the dimly lit hall, but it was different now. Shadows flickered and an ominous vibration hummed through the air. Sarah! He pushed himself up, fear clawing at his heart. But as he scanned the hall, he realized something was off. The shadows were no longer just swirling. They were taking shape. Dark figures formed, flickering like candles in a draft. Ethan, a voice emerged. But it wasn't Sarah's. It was his mother's voice, an ethereal, warm tone that made his blood run cold. Ethan, my love, you must listen to me. He spun around, eyes wide. Mom? How are you here? Confusion swirled inside him, and just like that, the shadows quieted, waiting. I've been trapped in this darkness, waiting for you, she said softly, her figure shimmering like mist. There are truths you don't understand. You must hear me. Truths? What truths? Panic raced within him, but he held on to the flicker of hope that maybe, just maybe, she could help him. Suddenly, from behind her, the cloaked figure surged forward, a dark presence looming. Enough of this nonsense, it hissed, eyes glowing like molten coal. You've already sealed your fate. Ethan's heart raced. What do you mean, my fate? The figure laughed, a sound that echoed like thunder. You were never just a bystander, Ethan. Your bloodline holds the key to the darkness. You are tied to it, just like Sarah. His pulse quickened. Confusion threatened to unravel him. No, I can't be. Not like her. Ethan, his mother urged. Listen, there's more at stake than you realize. You must break the chain. You are not destined to repeat our mistakes. And just like that, the air shifted. The cloaked figure stepped back, and something cracked. A split in reality. Ethan's world trembled as the shadows flickered in horror, revealing a whirlwind of memories. Twisted images of betrayal and sacrifice flashed before him, like a movie unraveling too quickly to process. No, Ethan gasped, clutching his head, the memories drowning him. This isn't real. Look deeper, his mother pressed, her voice soft yet filled with urgency. Choose the truth or live as a puppet. Only you can set yourself free. Suddenly, the horror struck. A vision surged through him. Sarah, standing amid chaos, her eyes reflecting darkness, wild, powerful. A truth that shattered him. She was not merely the vessel. She was the darkness emerging. He saw it all. Her choices. The sacrifices made. The shadows she fed. Everything echoed back to him. "Ethan!" Sarah's voice broke through. But it wasn't the plea he expected. It was fiercer, laden with determination. "We can control it, together." "No!" he cried, stepping back. "You can't! You can't wield that kind of power! It's consuming you!" Power? The cloaked figure's laughter filled the air. "She is beyond power, boy. She is destined to rule." Tears stung Ethan's eyes as he watched a battle for Sarah's soul unfold. "No! She's my wife! I can save her!" But then reality shifted again. A wrenching force twisted around him, and suddenly shadows closed in tightly, crashing against him like waves. He heard voices, familiar, taunts, laughter. Townsfolk, friends, all mocking him. "You thought you were special? You thought you could save her?" "No!" he shouted, but the truth hammered him like a storm. The figures blurred, and he felt himself slipping away. "Sarah, help!" But then the ground split open beneath him. Colors twisted and morphed, revealing a blinding light, spilling secrets and lies. It flickered through the shadows, igniting everything in its wake. With that burst of light, the last thread of his heart broke, and in that split second, he saw it, a vision of Sarah standing side by side with the cloaked figure. Their eyes locked with an intensity that seared into him. She smiled, a wicked smile, full of darkness. "Ethan, it's time to choose." In that moment, everything he thought he knew shattered. The world around him dimmed, leaving only the chilling question echoing in the void. Was Sarah truly lost to the darkness? Or was she the darkness itself? Ethan felt the air around him crackle as the shadows writhed and pulsed. Sarah's desperate gaze bore into him, drawing him in, breaking his heart. "You have to choose!" she cried, her voice trembling, twisted with anguish. "Join me, or risk losing everything." The cloaked figure sneered as the darkness enveloped them both, its presence suffocating. "You're bound to her, boy. Whether you embrace it or fight, there is no escape." But Ethan stood firm. "I won't be a part of this, not if it means losing you." He lunged forward, reaching for Sarah, feeling the power of their bond outweigh the shadow's grip. "Ethan, I can't hold them back much longer." Her face twisted in pain. "You need to let go of what you think I am." He felt a flicker of doubt ignite within him. "No! I know you. You're not a monster." Tears welled in his eyes. "You're my wife. You're human." With a roar, the darkness exploded around them, shattering the confines of the hall. Ethan felt the rush of air collide with him, the shadows retreating as the light poured in, illuminating the chaos. In that moment, everything shifted. A warmth spread through his body as he focused on Sarah. "I choose you," he shouted, defiance flooding his veins. "I choose love over darkness." The cloaked figure screamed, a chaotic force swirling into a vortex of fury. You think love can save her? She's already claimed. But as the shadows screamed and raged, Ethan felt something shift within him, an ancient power awakening. It coursed through his blood, vibrant and fierce. I will not let you take her. He extended his arms, pulling every ounce of energy from deep within. In that moment, he became a beacon of light. The ground cracked beneath him, and he wrapped that torrent of light around Sarah. Together, he yelled, pouring everything he had into the spell, illuminating their surroundings. Ethan! Her eyes widened, as if awakening from a nightmare. Together, they fuel the light pouring out, binding them in a force the darkness could not withstand. The cloaked figure writhed, eyes bulging with rage and fear. No, this isn't over! It began to dissolve, shadows exploding around it. With one final surge, the light engulfed everything. Ethan felt the warmth of Sarah's hand in his, and just like that, they were free. They landed on solid ground, breathless, as the shadows faded into the distance. Distant cries echoed behind them, growing softer. As the last remnants of darkness evaporated, silence wrapped around them, and Ethan turned to Sarah. "Is it really over?" he whispered, hope flickering within him. Her eyes sparkled with hesitation. "I don't know, but we did it together." He pulled her close, burying his face in her hair. She felt warm and real, the lingering shadows of despair beginning to fade. "Whatever happens, we face it together. I believe in you. Us." Silence stretched before them, the remnants of battle fading into the past. But as they stood enveloped in relief, a question remained. A flickering doubt gnawed at the edges of his thoughts. What lay ahead? Would the darkness truly be vanquished? And deep down, a quiet whisper echoed in their minds, promising a new challenge, a new beginning. If you loved this journey, you need to subscribe immediately to the channel. Don't wait another second. Smash that like button now to feed the algorithm and help us grow. Flood the comments section with your reactions and theories about this wild conclusion. And don't forget to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to know where this story ends. If you like stories about farmers, about everyday life on the farm, and want to know what really happens in the daily lives of the biggest farmers in the world, the hidden stories of the richest owners, and the secrets of the farm girls that the media doesn't reveal, check out our virtual book with the most famous and secret stories from the farm. Click on the first link in the video comments and get yours now.